So here we are with another sketching video. It's a little bit different today because I'm going to be using, or try to use, some fabric pens. And it's my first time trying them out. And I'm going to be drawing on cotton. It's mostly cotton with a tiny bit of elastane to make it a little bit stretchy. This picture that you see that I'm going to draw or copy is Murillo's Two Women at a Window, also originally called A Girl and Her Duenna. And Murillo was a famous Spanish painter, very popular. The reason we are doing this now, this year, is because it is the anniversary of Murillo. He was born in 1617, which makes 2017 the 400th year anniversary of his birth. Now, as you can see, I've already sketched out the basic outline in pencil. I didn't get that on video because it was just really boring and very tedious, because I made some mistakes and had to go over it again and fix it, so it's not perfect because it's really hard to erase pencil off cotton. Let's learn a little bit about Murillo's life and his work, and then we'll talk a little bit more specifically about this painting. So his full name is Bartolomé Esteban Murillo, and he was born in late December 1617, and he lived until 1682. He was a Spanish Baroque painter, and he's best known for his religious works. If you go and Google Murillo's work, you'll just see loads and loads of religious paintings. But he also did quite a lot of contemporary paintings, contemporary women and children. Just things that he would see around him at the time when he lived. And they are lively, realist portraits of people such as flower girls, street urchins, and beggars. He was born in Seville, or maybe in Pilas, which is a smaller Andalusian town. I'm not exactly sure exactly where he was born, but more or less in or around Seville. But we do know that he was baptized in Seville. He was baptized in 1618, so a little while after he was born. Maybe because he was born so late at the end of the year. I don't know. You know what it's like when you're a Christmas baby. Everything has to wait. And his family was quite big. He was the youngest one in 14. His father, Gaspar Esteban, was a barber and a surgeon. Very interesting. Unfortunately, his parents died in 1627 and 1628 when he was quite young still, and his sister's husband, Juan Agustin Gallegas, took him in. Interestingly, as you may have noticed, his father's surname is Esteban, but Murillo seldom used his father's surname, and instead he took his surname, Murillo, from his maternal grandmother, Elvira Murillo, or seeing as she's Spanish, was Spanish, probably Elvira. He began his art studies in Seville under Juan del Castillo, who was a relative of his mother. And there were more painters in the family. His uncle, Antonio Perez, was also a painter. Murillo was quite influenced by Zurbarán, Giuseppe de Ribera, and Alonso Cano, and he shared their strongly realist approach. At the time, Seville was commercially very important, and that ensured that he was receiving artistic influences from other regions. So, for example, he became familiar with Flemish painting, and as his painting developed, his more important works evolved towards the polished style that suited the bourgeois and aristocratic tastes of the time, which is demonstrated especially in his Roman Catholic religious works. When he was 26 in 1642, he moved to Madrid, which is when he probably became familiar with the work of Velázquez. And he would have seen the work of Venetian and Flemish masters in the royal collections. And these influences are suggested by the rich colours and softly modelled forms of his subsequent work. He went back to Seville in 1645 and he married. His wife's name was Beatriz Cabrera y Villalobos, and he kept up the family tradition of large families because he had 11 children. In the same year, 1645, he painted 11 canvases for the convent of Saint Francisco el Grande in Seville. Interesting, isn't it? I wonder if the 11 canvases painted was like an omen for the 11 children he would go on to have. And these paintings for the convent depict the miracles of Franciscan saints. And they have a variety of styles. They vary between the Zurbanesque tenebrism and a softly luminous style that he would take on more in his mature work. According to the art historian Manuela B. Mena Marquez, in The Levitation of St. Giles, which is usually known as the Angel's Kitchen, which is located in the Louvre in Paris now, and in The Death of St. Clair, which is in Dresden, the characteristic elements of Murillo's work are already evident. The elegance and beauty of the female figures and the angels, the realism of the still life details, and the fusion of reality with the spiritual world, which is extraordinarily well developed in some of the compositions. Around the same time, around 1645, he completed his first painting of children, so it would be the first of many, and this one was called The Young Beggar. It's in the Louvre at the moment. And apparently the influence of Velázquez in this painting is apparent. He then painted a pair of pictures for the Seville Cathedral and began to specialize in the themes that brought him his greatest successes, the Virgin and the Child and the Immaculate Conception. He was in Madrid again from 1658 to 1660, and after that he returned to Seville again. And here he founded, he was one of the founders of the Academia de Bellas Artes, Academy of Art, and he directed this academy in 1660 with the architect Francisco Herrera the Younger. And this time was his period of greatest activity. He received many important commissions, including the altarpieces for the Augustinian monastery and the paintings for Santa Maria la Blanca, and more. He died in Seville in 1682 when he was 64. It's a bit difficult to find information on how he died, but some accounts say that he was painting in a church and he had a bad fall from the scaffolding, and that was what ultimately led to his death, although I'm not too sure about that. He had many pupils and followers, and his paintings were imitated quite a lot, which led to him getting quite a good reputation, famous reputation in Spain and even throughout Europe. And before the 19th century, his work was more widely known than that of any other Spanish artist, which is interesting because I didn't I hadn't heard about him before until I was actually translating a piece this year on the anniversary of his birth. I'd never heard of him before, but maybe you have. Artists who were influenced by his style are Gainsborough and Greuze. Now, the painting of the two girls at a window is particularly interesting because I think it's very mysterious, and, well, a lot of people seem to have the same opinion, because we don't know who these women were. And there are two opinions about who these people could be. It could be a girl from a rather well-to-do family and her minder. What's the word? Female servant? Minder? Attendant? And maybe she's a bit bored with her life of maybe staying inside and not doing much, and she's gazing out of the window wistfully with a slightly playful smile on her face, maybe wanting to go out and do something interesting. The other opinion is... Oh yes, I forgot to mention, it was originally called Las Gallegas, which means the Galicians, the Galician women. So this is where the other opinion stems from, because at the time Galicia was a rather poor area of Spain, so a lot of women from there would turn to prostitution to make some money. So the other theory is that this woman is a prostitute and she's staring out of the window of the brothel, maybe trying to attract some clients, because she does have a very kind of playful expression on her face, playful and amused. And the interesting thing is she's not looking at the viewer or the painter or Murillo. She's looking below. We can't see exactly who she's looking at. It looks like she's looking at someone who hasn't yet returned her gaze, and she's waiting in amusement for him to look back at her. But as Murillo never gave an explanation and never said who the women were, if they were real people, nor who they represented, we will never know for sure. So let me know if you have an opinion on this. And I will leave some links below to more information. And I'll see you soon.